General Hospital spoilers reveal that the ABC drama recently released a trailer for the week of June 16th to 20th, and there are some intriguing moments in the preview to discuss. One major one is a cat fight between Brooke Lynn Quartermaine-Chase and Lulu Spencer. Fans will recall that during the Friday, June 13th episode, Maxie Jones summoned her two best friends, Brooke Lynn and Lulu, in the hopes that putting them in the same location would help them resolve their issues and move ahead. After all, as Dante Falconeri's two baby moms, getting on the same page for their boys' sakes could finally help repair the gap between the ladies who have been at odds with each other for what seems like eternity. However, it appears that Maxie's well-intended strategy will backfire. After all, at the end of GH's June 13th episode, Lulu refused to apologize for exposing Giovanni Gio Palmieri's true parentage. As fans approach a new week in Port Charles, GH's trailer suggests that things will only get worse between Lulu and Brooke Lynn. In the middle of the trailer, a clip shows Lulu saying, "You chose to lie, no wonder he doesn't want to be with you." Of course, Brooke Lynn responds to this statement with a fist to Lulu's face. Brooke Lynn has the old Bensonhurst attitude, but given what Lulu stated in her own situation, it was really brave of Lulu to say anything about Joe's love for his biological mother. Brooke Lynn's strike appears to have the potential to make an indelible impression on numerous levels. But might it also spark a massive cat fight? Regardless, Lulu's face will need to heal, but will she find a way to lash out, making things worse, or will this shake her up enough to recognize she is in the wrong to some extent? Lulu has been sitting on her high horse about Brooke Lynn's deception for quite some time, despite the fact that many others understand why the woman chose to keep her adoption a secret for so long. Could Lulu finally recognize she had crossed a terrible line? After all, GH spoilers suggest Lulu will apologize. But will that sorry be directed at Brooke Lynn, or perhaps someone else? Brooke Lynn's punch may go either way. It could force Lulu to lash out even more at her longtime rival, or it could be the wake-up call Lulu needs to realize she hasn't lived a saintly life, and she too has made mistakes along the way. General Hospital spoilers indicate that things might go ugly, or that Lulu and Brooke Lynn's catfight is the rock bottom. Both ladies need to eventually make apologies. The tension in Port Charles reached an all-time high when Sidwell issued a frightening warning that could permanently alter the lives of Sonny Corinthos and those around him. Sidwell, known for his harsh tactics and unwavering ambition, had always been a formidable opponent, but his most recent action crossed a hazardous line. His ultimatum was clear. Either Sonny relinquished control of his empire, or Sidwell would use whatever methods necessary to bring him down. The threat reverberated throughout the criminal underground, leaving both Sonny's supporters and foes scurrying to assess the situation. For Sonny, this was more than simply business, it was personal. His family, heritage, and very survival were at risk. Meanwhile, despite the tumult, Drew Kane made a life-altering decision. He proposed to Willow Tate. The event was both unexpected and poignant, a ray of hope in the midst of the tempest that engulfed their friends and family. Drew had always been a guy of principle, fighting for justice and supporting those he cared about. His friendship with Willow had grown over time, based on mutual respect, trust, and a strong emotional bond. When he got down on one knee, the raw emotion in his eyes was obvious. Willow saw the proposal as a moment of pure delight, an opportunity to embrace happiness after so much grief. However, their engagement was not without challenges. Willow's past troubles, including her illness and complex family dynamics, lurked in the backdrop. Drew, despite his unwavering love for Elizabeth, was burdened by his own past errors as well as the constant threat posed by his links to Sonny and the rest of Port Charles's power players. Their love was strong, but the world around them was far from stable. As word of Drew's proposal circulated, opinions were divided. Some, such as Michael Corinthos, were ecstatic for the couple, seeing it as a new beginning for Willow after everything she had been through. Others questioned the timing. With Sidwell's threat hovering over Sonny's head, alignments were shifting, and Drew's tight relationship with Sonny may endanger both him and Willow. The engagement was supposed to be a private, intimate event, but in Port Charles nothing stays quiet for long. Sonny, for his part, had little time to reflect on Drew and Willow's good news. Sidwell's threat was not to be taken lightly, and he was aware that his decision would determine not only his own fate, but also that of everyone around him. If things progressed, his family, business associates, and even innocent bystanders may find themselves caught in the crossfire. Carly, the strategist, advised him to consider carefully before making any actions, while Jason, the loyal enforcer, was ready to act at a moment's notice. The stakes have never been higher. As the days went, the pressure increased. Sidwell's men started making daring moves, testing Sunny's fortifications and looking for flaws. This was clearly more than a power ploy. It was a declaration of war. Sunny had encountered foes before, but Sidwell's cold, calculated demeanor made him especially dangerous. There would be no negotiation or intermediate ground. Only one of them would win. Despite the building conflict, Drew and Willow attempted to focus on their future. Planning a wedding should have been an exciting moment, but the shadow of Sidwell's threat made it difficult to truly enjoy their delight. Drew was divided between his dedication to Willow and his loyalty to Sunny. He had always believed in doing the right thing, but what was the right thing in a scenario where every option was risky? Willow, ever insightful, detected his inner conflict and told him that they would tackle whatever came their way together. The citizens of Port Charles held their breath, anticipating the eventual confrontation between Sunny and Sidwell. Some planned for the worst while others hoped for a miracle. In a town where danger and drama were commonplace, this confrontation had the potential to change the entire landscape. And at the heart of it all were two love stories. One just beginning with Drew and Willow's engagement signifying hope and new beginnings, and the other Sunny's fight for survival, depicting the brutal realities of a world where power comes at a cost. As the sun fell over Port Charles, the future seemed uncertain. Will love triumph, or will the darkness of Sidwell's threat engulf all in its path? Only time will tell. General Hospital teasers reveal that the daytime soap has published a preview video for the week of June 16th to 20th, so viewers can expect an intense 5 days in Port Charles. The Geach Weekly ad begins with a tense exchange between Jen Sidwell and Sunny Corinthos. The Port Charles newcomer states matter-of-factly that he wants to destroy the mob boss's dominance in the city. As the camera moves to Sunny's face, he is absolutely caught off guard. What does Sidwell have planned for Sunny, and how bad will things go between them? Meanwhile, when scenes change in the Geach preview, Lulu Spencer's voice can be heard in the background, saying, "You chose to lie. No wonder he wants nothing to do with you." Brooklyn Quartermain Chase sad, yet angry visage appears next, reeling from Lulu's statement. The next thing fans witness is Brooklyn punching Lulu in the face. Maxie Jones' strategy to assist relieve the tension between these two appears to be backfiring. As the commercial progresses, Sasha Corbin is depicted looking shocked while an unseen voice tells her, "This never should have happened. Is this about Daisy Corinthos? Is there any bad news about the baby this week?" The second clip from the GH Peak shows a tense encounter between Jason Morgan and Carly Spencer, in which Jason informs her that Drew will not give up. Drew summoned his brother for a meeting on Friday, June 13th, to present him with a proposal for Michael Corinthos' consideration. Drew had been considering if it would be best to end his relationship with Willow after she lost custody of Wiley Corinthos and Amelia Corinthos. That being said, Drew will not be abandoning Willow during the week of June 16th to 20th, as the final clip of the GH teaser shows the congressman proposing to his gal pal, who appears to be recovering from her mental health episode from last week. According to General Hospital spoilers, Drew's obsession with Willow will become stronger over time, but will Willow eventually see that her boyfriend is the reason her life has devolved into chaos? General Hospital teasers reveal that the daytime soap has published a preview video for the week of June 16th to 20th, so viewers can expect an intense 5 days in Port Charles. It's time to get into the drama that is about to unfold. The Geach Weekly ad begins with a tense exchange between Jen Sidwell and Sunny Corinthos. The Port Charles newcomer states matter-of-factly that he wants to destroy the mob boss's dominance in the city. As the camera moves to Sunny's face, he is absolutely caught off guard. What does Sidwell have planned for Sunny, and how bad will things go between them? Meanwhile, when scenes change in the Geach preview, Lulu Spencer's voice can be heard in the background, saying, "You chose to lie. No wonder he wants nothing to do with you." Brooklyn Quartermain Chase sad, yet angry visage appears next, reeling from Lulu's statement. The next thing fans witness is Brooklyn punching Lulu in the face. Maxie Jones' strategy to assist relieve the tension between these two appears to be backfiring. As the commercial progresses, Sasha Corbin is depicted looking shocked while an unseen voice tells her, This never should have happened. Is this about Daisy Corinthos? Is there any bad news about the baby this week? The second clip from the GH Peak shows a tense encounter between Jason Morgan and Carly Spencer, in which Jason informs her that Drew will not give up. Drew summoned his brother for a meeting on Friday, June 13th, to present him with a proposal for Michael Corinthos' consideration. Drew had been considering if it would be best to end his relationship with Willow after she lost custody of Wiley Corinthos and Amelia Corinthos. That being said, Drew will not be abandoning Willow during the week of June 16th to 20th, as the final clip of the GH teaser shows the congressman proposing to his gal pal, who appears to be recovering from her mental health episode from last week. According to General Hospital spoilers, Drew's obsession with Willow will become stronger over time, but will Willow eventually see that her boyfriend is the reason her life has devolved into chaos? General Hospital spoilers claim that Port Charles is ready for a battle, as next week's previews show Jason Morgan shutting down Drew Quartermain and refusing to help him reunite Willow Corinthos with her children, Amelia Corinthos and Wiley Corinthos. Drew's frantic plea this week for Jason's help to heal Willow's damaged family amidst the custody battle met a brick wall, as Jason's allegiance to Michael Corinthos and Carly Spencer remained steadfast. Will Jason's reluctance drive Drew, who is already on a downward spiral from his despicable manipulation of Wiley and other plots, to commit desperate, dangerous acts to acquire the children for Willow? Could he make a surprising move against Michael? Previews show Jason stonewalling Drew, his scorn apparent following Drew's deception, ensuring Wiley was within earshot when he made the false claim that Michael no longer wanted his children since he had a new kid with Sasha Gilmore Corbin. Drew's plea for assistance is based on their shared history, but Jason's steadfast guardianship of Michael, evident not only in his support for the custody battle but throughout his life, leaves no room for negotiation. With Drew's credibility failing on a regular basis, will Jason's firm stance push him to reckless desperation? GH spoilers highlight Drew's dangerous breaking point. Drew's breakdown as Willow withers on the vine after losing custody of her children may drive him to drastic measures. If he acts in desperation, such as hiring an unscrupulous fixer like Ezra Boyle or targeting Michael with a smear campaign, his attempt to reclaim Willow's custody by any means may prove fatal. In a scary possibility, Drew could stage an attack on Michael and frame it as mob-related to convince the judge, but Jason's counterattacks could reveal him. Will Drew's desperation result in violence, or will he stop short of crossing the line? Jason's refusal to budge could spark a full-fledged conflict with his twin, with Michael as a possible target. Drew's previous tactics suggest a man capable of cruel behavior. If he pursues Michael, Jason's protective impulses could lead to a mob-style confrontation. Willow's reaction, split between Drew and her children, will be important, and Nina Reeves will undoubtedly be in the front row when all comes crashing down. Will Jason's hard line cause Drew to go to dangerous lengths against Michael, or will Willow be able to stop him before he destroys himself? Keep checking back with us for more GH news and spoilers every day to see how this plays out. Jason had always drawn a line that was clear, crisp, and final. His decisions were like stone, never taken lightly and never reversed. So when Drew arrived into his penthouse that night, hoping to find some type of middle ground, some shared agreement about what would happen next for the family, Jason's silence spoke volumes before he said anything. When he did speak, his remarks were as harsh and definitive as a slammed door. Jason didn't budge. Not on Drew's plot, the aftermath, or the question of who stood where after the dust fell. Drew had come with a heart full of strife, hoping that whatever remnants of fraternity remained between them may help them through. Instead, he received a steel wall that was immovable and unconcerned about sentiment. Jason's allegiance to Sunny, the structure, and the values they'd always followed had solidified into something unbreakable. Drew didn't only notice Jason's resolve. He saw the fight behind Jason's eyes, the years of battle wounds that had made him hesitant to consider any deviation from the road he considered to be right. Drew was driven beyond the limits of rational compromise by that rejection, that unwavering conviction. He left Jason's apartment not in silence, but in something worse, clarity. Drew had tried. He had devised a strategy that would have protected the family, kept Willow and the children safe, and given him some sense of redemption. But Jason's steadfast stance, his refusal to budge, felt like a betrayal of everything they had once stood for. So with each stride away from that confrontation, Drew felt something within him harden. He was not going to ask again. Drew went dark for 2 days. No calls. No texts. There are no updates. Willow had no idea where he had gone, but she feared that their meeting with Jason had gone awry. She had been skeptical of Drew's intention to include Jason. She knew Jason in ways Drew did not. How, when Jason noticed a break in the foundation, he filled it without hesitation. She waited impatiently, hoping Drew would emerge before something irreversible occurred. But part of her worried the opposite, that he was preparing just that. Something irrevocable. Jason, for his part, continued to move forward. Drew, in his imagination, would calm down and return to normal. He always did. Jason wasn't under the impression Drew was weak. Far from it, but he did believe Drew carried optimism like a weight, always attempting to heal broken things, even when those things were better left buried. Jason didn't realize how far Drew had fallen from the hopeful man he had knew. He was unaware that Drew had altered in the same fires that had molded Jason's own identity. When Drew returned to Port Charles, he was not the same. He walked strangely, like if he'd accepted a bad option. He went directly to Carly first. She noticed it right away, the resolve, the fury. Carly tried to persuade Drew to open up and talk about what had happened between him and Jason, but he was not interested in contemplation. He wanted to take action. He didn't want therapy. He wanted results. Carly could see it in his eyes. He was going to do something dangerous. And that terrified her, not because she thought he was incompetent, but because she'd seen that exact look in Jason's eyes far too often. It was the face of a man who felt he had no other choice. That way of thinking could only result in pandemonium. Drew didn't go into depth, but he did leave her with one message. Jason has made his decision. Now it's up to me. Something had changed, and the word swiftly spread. Sonny felt it first, his intuition honed over decades of surviving betrayal. He directly asked Jason if there was anything going on that he should be aware of. Jason dismissed it, stating only that Drew disliked conflict. But behind closed doors, Jason began to wonder if he had miscalculated. Drew wasn't retaliating with words or alliances. He was withdrawing into corners, conversing with folks who chose shadows over sunlight. Dante was the next person to catch wind. He noticed Drew meeting with folks he had never met before. Old names. Dangerous names. People who not only harbored grudges, but also used them as weapons. Dante confronted Drew not as a cop, but as a buddy, and sought to figure out what he was planned. But Drew played it close, merely warning Dante with sincerity. If I were you, I'd keep an eye on Jason. He's not as untouchable as he thinks. These remarks were more than just foreboding. They are calculated. By the conclusion of the week, Drew had made 3 significant movements behind the scenes. He had tapped into old ELQ relationships, dug out files on shared properties, and activated latent leverage that Jason had known existed. Drew quietly dismantled any power Jason believed he had left beyond the street code. It was business warfare, and Drew was winning slowly, deliberately, and mercilessly. Willow finally confronted him in their living room, desperate to figure out why he was keeping her out. Drew did not yell. He did not flinch. He did not lie to her. Jason pushed me to this. I tried to compromise. I tried to make peace. But he doesn't want peace, he wants control. And I'm done letting him have it. Willow, disappointed and irritated, implored him to find another solution. She reminded him of what they were fighting for. Family, not retribution. But Drew had already gone too far. He kissed her forehead and pledged not to let anything affect her or the children. But that guarantee did not extend to Jason. Across town, Jason noticed the consequences. His contacts were guarded. His shipments were delayed. People suddenly stopped responding his calls. The infrastructure that had previously responded quickly now moved with caution. Carly also noticed. The equilibrium was changing. Something unseen was rocking the ground beneath Jason's boots. Jason spoke with Brick, attempting to figure out what was happening. Brick warned him, someone's rerouting your foundation. Not with bullets but with brains. Jason recognized Drew right once. For the first time in a long time, Jason did not have a counterpunch prepared. Drew had cut off the oxygen without ever drawing the gun. And Jason had underestimated him. Sonny summoned an emergency meeting. He wanted to reestablish control and insisted that Jason repair whatever was wrong between them. Jason, who is normally composed, stated that the gap between him and Drew may be too big now. Sonny did not take it lightly. He told Jason to find a method to bring Drew back into the fold, or destroy the threat. Those words landed hard. Eliminate the threat. Jason was not prepared to see Drew as a threat. Not yet. But the wheels had already started turning, and Drew was not slowing down. He scheduled a final meeting with one of Sonny's oldest opponents, whom Drew once detested. Now the same individual was an ally. Drew trusted him, but only because they shared a common adversary. Drew had never envisioned making this bargain, but Jason had left him with no other options. Things worsened back at Carly's. She was being financially squeezed. One of Jason's untraceable assets used to finance her club had been frozen. Drew's prints were all over it. She addressed him again, tears in her eyes, wondering if this was what he truly desired, to bring down the people he once claimed to love. Drew's response was unnerving in its calmness. "I'm not tearing anyone down. I'm just removing the rot before it spreads." Jason's next move became more personal. He paid Monica a visit. He hadn't seen her in months, but he needed someone who could view Drew as redeemable. Monica informed him that Drew was not the problem. He was the result. She implored Jason to find some common ground, but even she seemed unsure if this was still feasible. The final straw came when Drew turned up to the Quartermain estate with legal documentation that effectively challenged Jason's jurisdiction over anything related to ELQ. It was a declaration of war, not on the streets but in the boardroom and via their legacy. Jason glanced at the papers for quite some time before signing and saying nothing. Drew did not wait. He turned and went, leaving Jason to bear the entire weight of the shift. That night, Jason stood on the pier, the wind piercing the silence like a sword. He considered everything, including what could have been avoided, about Drew's choices, regarding his own refusal to compromise. Most importantly, he considered what would happen next. Drew was not backing down. He was not seeking for peace. And now Jason had a decision to make. Either fight back in the only manner he knew how or lose everything. In the darkness behind him, a person approached. It was Carly. She just said one thing. "You waited too long, Jason. And now you might not get him back." Jason didn't respond. His quiet was not one of confusion. Rather, it was the sound of war breaking out. One that would not conclude with apologies or discussions. General Hospital teasers indicate that a preview clip has been released for Monday, June 16, 2025. It depicts Jason Morgan squared off against Drew Kane. Meanwhile, Emma Scorpio Drake acquires leverage on Jocelyn Jacks. Continue reading and let's discuss what's coming up on the ABC soap drama. Carly Spencer will spend time with Jack Brennan now that custody has been decided and Michael Corinthos is feeling better. Carly plans a surprise for Brennan at the Metro Court pool. This couple's romantic relationship appears to be progressing. Read more. Find out what happened on the last episode of GH. Over with Lulu Spencer. She will apologize to someone. Lulu believes she done nothing wrong. But Maxie Jones wishes to resolve the conflict between her two pals. Lulu may unwillingly apologize to Brooklyn Quartermain. However, Giovanni Gio Palmieri is the individual who truly deserves an apology. Lulu doesn't seem to be concerned about how this has affected the young man. Speaking about Gio, he overhears some disturbing information. So let's see what this is about. This could be about Lulu and BLQ, but it's most likely about the professor. General Hospital spoilers for today's episode indicate that Emma will gain leverage. This could be about Jocelyn's plan to access Professor Henry Hank Dalton's phone. Joss feels confident that she can collect the information without Hank finding out. However, I wonder if Emma is in charge. There is also a potential Emma will reveal the mission, or complicate the WSB investigation. Jocelyn is so confident that the phone plan would work that it is possible that something may go horribly wrong. In the next episode, Anna Devane will also lock Dante Falconeri and Harrison Chase in a jail cell. Anna is not going to let them out until they resolve their problems. Tracy Quartermain will contact Martin Gray for legal assistance. So this could have anything to do with Drew. Plus, Jason and Drew had a furious argument. Drew offers a compromise but Jason declines. Which narrative are you most looking forward to witnessing on Monday, June 16, 2025? Share your opinions in the comments area below. Remember to keep watching ABC's soap opera to see what happens next. Jason was never one to back down from a challenge, and the stakes could not have been higher. The weight of all he's borne since his return is slowly pulling him into perilous seas. On June 16, the battle lines are established in the most unexpected places, not against an opponent, but against his own flesh and blood. Drew Kane has had enough of Jason's constant concealment. Tensions rise as a subtle sibling feud threatens to escalate into something considerably more terrible. Drew isn't coming at this with fury. It is more intricate than that. Drew's heart is smoldering with treachery after everything they've been through, including incarceration, amnesia, and fragmented identities. He expected camaraderie, perhaps even loyalty, but what he's discovered in Jason lately is a man who always appears one step removed, constantly calculating, never truly revealing his hand. Drew's patience, once limitless, has dwindled, and when he confronts Jason in a back passage of the Quartermain home, the exchange is visceral and devoid of pretense. "You don't trust me," Drew says, his voice flat but full of hurt. "You never did." Jason does not flinch. His silence expresses more than any apology could. He's not the type of man who indulges in sentimentality, but that doesn't mean he's immune to the pain this schism is bringing. He understands Drew's rage isn't wholly unfounded. He realizes he has been making judgments in the shadows, shifting chess pieces without notifying those closest to him. But Jason believes that's the best way to keep them safe. The fewer people who understand the truth, the smaller the bullseye on their back. That rationale, however, means little to a man like Drew. Meanwhile, Sonny Corinthos is watching the Jason-Drew drama unfold from the sidelines, but not quietly. He is aware of Emma's reappearance and is immediately dubious of her intentions. The fact that she is acting independently, holding secret meetings, and not promptly checking in with family raises red flags. Sonny's instincts are rarely incorrect, and in this case he believes Emma is acting on behalf of an organization testing the waters in Port Charles again. Or worse, manipulating family dynamics for greater power. He assigns Dex to conduct some quiet reconnaissance. Not an aggressive approach, but a reminder. Sonny will never let a possible threat go unchecked. Monica, back at the Quartermain house, is growing increasingly concerned about Jason and Drew's rift. She's seen this type of fracture previously and believes the damage will be permanent this time. Her attempts at reconciliation are ineffective. Jason remains stoic, Drew remains rebellious, and the distance between them becomes colder with each passing day. Monica's heart breaks witnessing her sons at odds, especially knowing that their conflict is being monitored and could be exploited by those with more harmful intentions. Emma's leverage, it finds out, extends beyond interpersonal conflict. She's got a flash drive, which she received under mysterious circumstances on a trip abroad. What are the contents? A partial download of confidential WSB files, some of which are directly related to Project 66, the operation that culminated in Jason's abduction and Drew's mental hijacking. The files are scant and perhaps corrupted, but they present a bleak picture. Someone within the WSB may have organized the entire brother swap disaster for motives that remain unclear. If the ramifications went public, they could devastate the entire town. Emma has a decision. She can tell her grandmother Anna about what she's found, or she can keep it to herself for a little longer, waiting for the optimal time to play the card for maximum effect. The decision is agonizing. Anna has always been her compass, but Emma has recently began to wonder if her family's code of integrity is still important in a world that encourages lying. Furthermore, she feels Anna may already know some of the truth but has chosen to keep it secret.